Chapter 21. I think you might have made a mistake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Every time he upgrades, Ning Bing's ability increases the most. At green level LV6, the freezing range is still 5 meters, but the lethality has been greatly enhanced. Zhong Yuan cast ice condensation on a dead frost snow snake. In an instant, the corpse was frozen hard, and with a click, the snake corpse cracked like glass and scattered all over the floor. The frost snow snake comes with a freezing buff and is considered a cold-resistant alien race. After death, his abilities are reduced, but he won't be so miserable. After you go back, take a thermometer and measure how far below zero the release capacity can be. The super perception continued to upgrade, and the range expanded again, reaching 1 kilometer. If I can't find a job in the future, I'll apply for a sniper job in the SWAT team. After packing up his things, Zhong Yuan left the misty forest. This time, he ignored the body of the frost snow snake. The ice fog shrouding the forest gradually dissipated. The temperature has risen and the spring-like climate has returned. A few hours later, Feng Yuma woke up from his coma. As soon as his eyes opened, the carp immediately stood up from the ground. After a self-examination, I found that except for a little pain in my face, my body was not harmed. Feng Yuma is incredible. I was actually knocked unconscious by that kid. The phone fell to the ground, and there was an ID card beside it. Touch your waist again, the fanny pack is gone. It contains life capsules and various special medicines. If it's gone, it's gone. At least you're still alive, and you don't have to replace your ID card and communication card when you go back. Should I thank that guy for his kindness? Feng Yuma laughed angrily and shook his head. I fight sparrows all the time, but one day, I got pecked in the eye by a sparrow. That the lesson was painful and had a huge impact on his future behavior. Anyway, let's confirm the time first. More than an hour has passed. That kid must have run away. No, the gun is a relic left by my father to me. I must get it back. That if you want to find the person who knocked him out as soon as possible, you can only find someone from Chingying College to locate him. Originally, Feng Yuma didn't want to go on the mission, but now, he had to go. The moment the ghostly figure approached, Feng Qing's whole body tensed up and he woke up from his slumber. The body jumped up as softly as a cheetah, and then assumed a fighting posture. However, 10 meters away, the ghost in a black t-shirt made a non-combat gesture. I heard him say, I am sent by the Wind Dragon team to help you rescue the students. Feng Qing was confused. I have never heard of any students being rescued. Feng Qing said dubiously, report your military registration number. Feng Yuma said dully, I don't have military status. Okay, I've been tricked and deceived. Feng Qing sneered, ready to fight. Etc. Feng Qing's characteristics are very obvious. He wears sunglasses all year round. He is also ranked 82nd on the Chinese youth list and is famous for his healing ability. Feng Yuma didn't want to offend a rare healing expert, so he hurriedly took a few steps back and introduced himself. Feng Yuma. Feng Qing was stunned and lost his voice. You still dare to lie? Do you think I don't know Feng Yuma? He is not a black man. Feng Yuma clenched his fists, suppressed the anger in his heart, and said, take off your sunglasses. Haha. If you ask me to take it off, I will take it off. Who do you think I am? Feng Qing moved his sunglasses down a little and took another look at the ghost man in the black t-shirt. This face is really wind and rain. But, what happened to him? Ha ha ha. Feng Yuma, were you pushed to the ground and slapped in the face? The other party deliberately didn't break your defense and just beat you into a pig's head. It didn't hurt much, but it was extremely insulting. Ha ha ha. You have today too. Where is your spear that never leaves your body? It won't be snatched away, right? Feng Qing was rolling on the ground laughing. Feng Yuma didn't feel insulted by Zhong Yuan, but felt a little admired in his heart. After all, Zhong Yuan is a layman when it comes to fighting. Even if he uses dishonorable means, it is rare to be able to fight to this level. On the contrary, it was Feng Qing's cynicism that made him angry. Resisting the urge to slap this guy to death, Feng Yuma said coldly, Feng Qing, do you want to fight? Feng Qing wiped the tears that overflowed from the corners of his eyes and said with a smile, no, I don't bully the defenseless and weak. Feng Yuma said expressionlessly, even if I don't have a weapon, I will still beat you 10 times. Feng Qing suddenly darkened his face and said coldly, really? Then today, your position in the rankings will change with mine. The two people's eyes intertwined, sparking fierce sparks in the air. When the situation was about to break out, Lu Wen hurriedly arrived. Hello, hello. I am the team leader of Qingying College. You are the person sent by Commander Wan, right? Hey, what's wrong with your face? Feng Qing, what are you doing? Give him some treatment quickly. TSK. Can I refuse? It's itchy again, isn't it? Okay, why don't you give me treatment? Lu Wen interrupted the fight and the fight couldn't begin. The healing wind blew on Feng Yuma's body, and the dark blue on his face immediately disappeared, revealing his original resolute face. Lu Wen covered her mouth in surprise and hesitated. Are you, from the Feng family? Feng Yuma denied it flatly. Instructor, you have recognized the wrong person. I was sent by the Feng Long team to perform the mission. Oh, Commander Wan has already contacted me about this matter. Lu Wen no longer dwelled on Feng Yuma's identity. She was almost exhausted, 4 students died, and she was just scolded by the dean. Ironically, as a class instructor, she was the last one to know that the auditor named Zhong Yuan in the class was just an ordinary person. Didn't they say that they didn't care about him and just treated him like a normal student? They actually alarmed the senior officials of the military and asked the Feng Long team to rescue him. And the Feng Long team actually sent Feng Yumo, who was ranked 68th on the youth ranking list. The inside story was definitely not something she, a small college teacher, could know. Lu Wen was upset and calmed down, and said to Feng Qing, send Zhong Yuan's location to this, little soldier. Oh. Feng Qing responded casually, and suddenly reacted and asked in surprise, why? Lu Wen said, he came to accompany his sister to study. He is just an ordinary person, and does not need to participate in the military training of Fangjia. Huh? Accompany? Ordinary people. Miss Lu, are you damn sure? Feng Qing felt that his brain was almost shutting up, and he mumbled, I think you might have made a mistake. Lu Wen said, no mistake. Feng Yumo said, no mistake. Okay. You have the final say. Anyway, in your hearts, I am not even a shrimp, at most a shrimp skin. Feng Qing stared at the two people who were singing in unison and adjusted the position of Zhong Yuan's watch. Chapter 22. You may have encountered a ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the electronic map, a small red light spot stayed in place and did not move for several minutes. Feng Qing said. He stopped to rest, about 10 kilometers away from the temporary base at the foot of the mountain. The distance is neither too far nor too close. It would take about 20 minutes for a strong man like Feng Yuma to run over. If it is not a mountainous area but flat ground, you can go faster. After determining the location of the mission target, Feng Yuma lowered his voice and said to Feng Qing, you can find someone for me. Who to look for? I can only help you find new students for military training. Feng Qing's eyes widened, and he suddenly figured out something. He lip-synced with him in a tacit understanding, you, no, yes. Feng Yuma's eyes twitched, refusing to give this guy a chance to continue sarcasm. Pointing his finger at a certain location on the electronic map, he said, an hour ago, here. Feng Qing was extremely shocked. Good guy. The quality of this year's freshman is so high. In addition to Zhong Yuan, there was also a ruthless character who beat Feng Yuma into a pig's head and even took away his weapons. This kind of ruthless person is rare and must be recruited into the student union. Feng Qing cooperated very well and started searching and locating. After a while, he looked strange and said, there is no such person. Feng Yuma said displeasedly, are you trying to deal with me? Feng Qing snorted coldly, why should I bother you? I want to know who the other person is more than you. Are you sure he is the new student we brought? Feng Yuma also became suspicious and said, he wears camouflage uniforms. Feng Qing retorted, you don't necessarily have to be from our school if you wear camouflage uniforms. Feng Yuma hesitated and said, "You are very young when you carry a tactical backpack issued by your college and use a knife issued by your college. Ha ha ha. You are too inferior. You were beaten up by a younger junior. That grass is really a plant." Feng Yuma was furious. "If you keep nagging me, I'll tear you apart." "Ah, I'm so scared." Feng Qing almost died laughing. "I can't help it, you have been responsible for all my jokes for the whole year." Even though he was making excuses, he still tried his best to help find someone. Still no such person found. Feng Qing sighed and said seriously, "You may have encountered a ghost." Feng Yuma stared at the screen and watched him operate the whole process. Knowing that he was not telling lies, he murmured, "This is impossible." Suddenly, Feng Qing slapped his head and said, "Watch-smashing warrior." Feng Yuma. "What kind of watch-smashing warrior?" Feng Qing said excitedly, "I know who it is. Don't worry, I can escape the monk, but I can't escape the temple. Although I can't find him now, the new students will gather here in 3 days. What a great idea." Feng Yuma just had a reason to stay in Fangjie for a few more days. Then, he hesitated and asked, "Can you lend me your weapon? That the dough is a little hot. Just over an hour ago, I heard something similar." How long had passed? It was his turn to speak. Feng Qing's thoughts changed rapidly. The rumors must be true. Feng Yuma's eldest brother is dying. Do you want to hunt more Su crystals and bring them back to try his luck with his brother? Feng Qing's heart was heavy and he was still cynical. "Brother Feng, you have changed. You were not this kind of person before." Feng Yuma said fiercely, "Do you want to borrow it or not?" Seeing that it was about to escalate to robbery, Feng Qing had no choice but to take out his saber and hand it to him. He said dryly, "This is my big room. You have to treat it well. You must return it to me after you use it. In addition, I have another one. Private request." Feng Yuma took the knife and left decisively. "Also, bring a watch. With this watch, Zhong Yuan's location can be located at any time." Feng Qing's request was simple, give Zhong Yuan a chance to practice. When it doesn't work, Feng Yuma takes action again and fishes him out. It's equivalent to letting Feng Yuma be a nanny. Just be a nanny, as long as it doesn't interfere with the crystal play. When he found Zhong Yuan, Feng Yuma found that the boy was injured and was bandaging the wound under the tree. A large piece of meat was bitten off from his left arm by a frost and snow snake, and the bones were almost visible. The bandaging technique was a mess, and the bandage was covered in blood. Feng Yuma observed secretly for a while, but didn't think there was anything special about Zhong Yuan. Even though he was injured, he was unwilling to use his watch to call for help. His will was stronger than most people. In this case, let's give Feng Qing a little face. Before entering Fangjie, Feng Yuma had already prepared a map and knew where the large snake cave was. Although the largest snake cave was lost inexplicably, there are still several small gathering places, which add up to a considerable amount. In the next few days, Feng Yuma deliberately guided Zhong Yuan on his route. He cleared the obstacles one step ahead, harvested the Su crystals, ate the meat himself, and even left some soup for Zhong Yuan. Putting aside the incident of the weapon being robbed, this task of recruiting people is indeed quite easy, and it can be described as a win-win situation. However, Feng Yuma never expected that the person he protected along the way was not Zhong Yuan at all. The real self is jumping on another hilltop. There must be a snake den here. Why can't there be a shadow of a snake? That's too cruel. The snakes are all dead. Do you want to be so cruel? Brother, who are you? Leave some for me. That ever since I snatched the big brother in the black t-shirt, my luck seemed to have run out, and I never encountered the frost snow snake again. For 2 whole days, sleepless and restless. Climbing mountains and crossing ridges, there is not a single snake. Zhong Yuan was so angry that his teeth itched, and he murmured, "If this continues, the military training will be over. I have to reserve time to return, and at most find another place. Where to go? Let fate take its course." Zhong Yuan put the long gun on the ground and gently turned it. After the gun body turned twice, it pointed in a certain direction. North. There are not many trees, there shouldn't be a group of snakes. Zhong Yuan was entangled for a while, and finally decided to listen to fate. going by your own feelings, all will fail, or someone will get there first. Miracles may happen in seemingly impossible places. Soon, he came to a cliff, the mountain was steep, and there was a small peak hundreds of meters high. There was a thick white fog, and it was all white. There was a crooked tree rooted in the mountain wall, and the branches were snow-white and covered with frost. Zhong Yuan was shocked. According to experience, there is a high probability that frost snakes live on the small peak. With the spear on his back, he began to climb barehanded. After 2 days of survival in the mountains, Zhong Yuan has become an expert climber. Because his fingers do not feel sore and tired, there is no problem of losing strength and not being able to grasp the leverage point. If the flesh and blood are blurred, just start regeneration. When encountering fragile rocks that are about to collapse, freeze them firmly and continue to climb up. The strongest bare-handed climber in the world is not as good as Zhong Yuan. He can already flexibly use the abilities of the Su Neng. In less than 10 minutes, Zhong Yuan climbed up a small peak several hundred meters high. The temperature dropped sharply, colder than any place he had been to. The visibility was only 2 or 3 meters, and there were no plants except the crooked tree. This place is very strange. Zhong Yuan took the spear in his hand and gently poked the fog in front of him like using a blind stick. Suddenly, the tip of the spear touched something hard. It seemed to be a big stone. The next moment, the stone made a rustling sound and suddenly stood up. In the mist, a pair of red vertical eyes lit up, flashing a terrifying and fierce light. It was less than 2 meters away. Chapter 23 King Snake, Terrifying Ice Blood Explosion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On a small mountain peak that was rarely visited by people, a giant frost snake and Zhong Yuan looked into each other's eyes. If the spear had not touched it, the snake might not have been alarmed. It was too late to say anything now. The giant snake had already discovered that someone had entered its territory. Its scarlet snake eyes stared at Zhong Yuan, and its coiled body suddenly bounced up like a stretched spring. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and it was not an exaggeration to describe it as a meteor. Zhong Yuan was shocked and dodged in a hurry, but the distance was too close. Although he avoided most of the attacks, his shoulder was still slightly scratched. A large piece of flesh and blood was torn apart, revealing the white bones. If it were a normal person, he would have been in agony, but Zhong Yuan had no sense of pain. He was so seriously injured that not a drop of blood could flow out. The skin and flesh were a strange grayish white, with a faint luster of ruin's crystal. Zhong Yuan ignored the wound, raised his spear, and stabbed the giant snake, who knew that the snake looked clumsy, but in fact it was extremely swift. The snake's tail wrapped around the spear and suddenly exerted force. Zhong Yuan's palms shook violently, and he could hardly hold the weapon. What a great strength! In shock, the snake's mouth opened up and down to an incredible 180 degrees. And a rotten stench gushed out of its bloody mouth. Bad breath alone can poison ordinary Su Neng people. Unfortunately, this trick is ineffective against Zhong Yuan. No matter how strong the poison is, he is immune. The bright red tongue is about to touch his forehead, and Zhong Yuan finally sees the whole picture of the giant snake. It's so big. The head of this frost snake is bigger than a basketball. It wants to swallow me in one bite. In a flash, Zhong Yuan decisively gave up the spear. Ice condensation is activated. The extremely terrifying coldness enveloped the giant snake. It maintained the posture of opening its mouth to swallow, and its body was twisted, just like an ice sculpture, motionless. Zhong Yuan secretly thought he was lucky. Fortunately, the ice condensation has been upgraded, otherwise it is still unknown who will win. The crisis is temporarily resolved. Zhong Yuan first pulled out the spear that was caught by the snake. His face was wet, stained with a large piece of snake saliva, and even his vision was blurred. He quickly wiped his face clean, and while the giant snake could not move, he smashed it madly with his gun. If Feng Yumao was here, he would definitely scold bitterly. This is not how to use a gun. You don't know how to use a gun at all. My gun was ruined by you. Yes, I really haven't learned it, and I don't understand it for the time being. I only know to strike first and kill it while it is sick. It was also thanks to Feng Yuma's excellent forging of the spear that a huge crack was smashed on the snake's head with one strike. Another blow, the snake's eyes were broken, the upper and lower jaws were shattered, and the entire snake's head was half destroyed. Even if the ice is unfrozen, it should not be able to come back. However, it is better to be safe than sorry. After exerting all his strength to freeze ice, Zhong Yuan felt weak for the first time. This weakness was mental fatigue. It had accumulated over the days and now it broke out all at once. He was unable to use freeze ice again, so he must not let the giant snake perform death immunity. Zhong Yuan made the wisest decision of his life. Bang, bang, bang. He was like a thug, using brute force to mechanically smash the giant snake that was frozen into ice. He stopped only when it became fragmented and scattered all over the ground. If it doesn't die like this, I have nothing to say. Zhong Yuan sat dazed and slumped aside, activating his regeneration ability to recover from his injuries. He even took out a piece of compressed biscuit to chew, although eating was of no use and could only give a little psychological comfort. Under the effect of regeneration, the granulation tissue grew rapidly at the torn wound, and in half a minute, the damaged flesh and blood grew back. At the same time, the effect of freeze ice disappeared. Zhong Yuan stared at the pile of minced meat. Nervously, they trembled slightly, as if they were not dead yet, as if they would be pieced together and resurrected at any time. This was a Frost King snake that had never been recognized by anyone. It had lived alone on the bare North Peak for many years. Its regeneration ability was not limited to the head. Even if it had only a tail, it could regenerate a complete body and activate death immunity to come back to life. Unfortunately, it was broken too badly, at least into tens of thousands of pieces. Its powerful regeneration ability turned into a fatal death warrant. Each piece of broken meat had the power of regeneration and could be exempted from death. The final result was that the power was divided into tens of thousands of parts, which were too scattered and no piece of meat could regenerate. After struggling for 10 minutes, countless pieces of meat finally died unwillingly. The extremely powerful Frost King snake died in such a suffocating way. It even had powerful abilities that it could not use. A flash of white light and a huge ruin crystal burst out, which was 3 or 4 times larger than an ordinary ruin crystal. The brilliance is as bright as a pearl in the palm of your hand. You can tell at a glance that it is not an ordinary item. Zhong Yuan couldn't let go of this ruin crystal, and even felt reluctant to absorb it. After playing with it for a while, a prompt appeared in his mind. Found the ruin crystal of the Frost Snow King snake. Do you want to absorb it? The Frost Snow King snake has an additional ability, Ice Blood Explosion. Disaster level. Cannot be upgraded. Requires the ability to comprehend ice condensation. Ability description. All abilities are immediately increased by 1200%, lasting for 30 seconds. After the end, enter the weak period, which lasts for 48 hours. Seeing this ability, Zhong Yuan couldn't help but take a breath. What kind of underworld ability can actually increase combat power so much? If the giant snake had used the ice blood explosion just now, he would have had no chance of surviving and would have been torn into pieces in an instant. What a close call. Zhong Yuan was terrified and took another look at the pieces of meat. It turned out that it was a king snake, which had a more special ability. The ruins crystal had exploded, so it would definitely not be resurrected. The ice blood explosion was too strong. Although it only lasted for 30 seconds, if used well, it could help people turn the tables in desperate situations. It was an ace-level ability. Moreover, it exploded 1200% of its strength at once, and then it was only weak for 48 hours afterwards. It was really a bargain. With the regeneration ability, the weak period should be able to be shortened a little more. It must absorb the ice blood explosion. Zhong Yuan's mind moved, and the king snake ruins crystal entered his body. Finally, this trip was worthwhile. It's time to go back to the gathering place. After cleaning up the battle scene, the king snake's body fell into the valley, and Zhong Yuan began to return. This spear is of great quality. I wonder where the guy in the black t-shirt bought it. If I see him again, I'll have to ask him. It's better to buy a spare one. After so many hits, there is no crack at all. The quality is much better than the sabers issued by the academy. A large number of freshmen from the academy have gathered at the temporary base at the foot of the mountain. After 3 days and 2 nights of getting along day and night, the students in the same team gradually developed a tacit understanding. They gathered in groups of 3 or 2, talking and laughing. Most of them didn't know the meaning of entering the Fangjia. Many people just wandered around the safe area near the scenic area, drinking mountain spring water when thirsty and eating compressed biscuits when hungry. The 3 days were quite pleasant. There are also some captain-level students who gathered together to discuss the gains in the Fangjia. How is it? Has anyone encountered an alien race? Don't mention it. There's an idiot in my team who picked white parasols in the forest and ate them with compressed biscuits. He ended up pooping in the wild every day, so we let him go. Ha ha ha, that the group of people laughed so hard that no one mentioned whether they had defeated Su Jing. Feng Qing counted the number of people. Only 4 or 5 people had not come to the gathering. The scheduled departure time was in half an hour. Should we wait a little longer? In addition, Feng Yuma was too unreliable. Why hadn't he brought Zhong Yuan back yet? Just as he was thinking this, 2 people came from afar. Chapter 24. Who is looking for trouble, who wants to fight? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ever since Wang Meng killed 4 of his companions and entered the dense forest alone, the journey in the Fang realm has become extremely smooth. The seemingly dangerous jungle is actually not dangerous at all. Water sources and some edible wild plants can often be found. On the afternoon of the next day, Wang Meng was very lucky and met a lone frost and snow snake. The snakes brought him nightmare memories, but with only 1 snake, Wang Meng could handle it by himself even if he was injured. He harvested the first ruins crystal in his life and felt that all the efforts and sacrifices were worth it. On the 3rd day, a young man in black appeared in front of him and told him that it was time to go back and gather. Only then did Wang Meng understand. It turned out that the man in black escorted him along the way, and in the end, he even sent him back to the gathering place at the foot of the mountain. So relaxing. It took no effort at all and was completely carried away by the wind and rain. Wang Meng wished he could look up to the sky and smile. I must be a once-in-a-century genius, so the academy sent strong men to secretly protect me, and even deliberately designed it to let me get a ruins crystal. When the military training is over and you leave the square, the academy will definitely give you special care. Maybe a rare ruins crystal will be given out and the instructor can help him absorb it. Wang Meng seemed to see himself getting stronger step by step and reaching the peak of his life. By the way, after returning home, the first thing to do is to kill those damn 4 eyes. If it hadn't been for him, the team wouldn't have been wiped out. Find a way to pin the murder charge on Cyan and have him go to a military court. A sinister smile appeared on Wang Meng's face. At that time, in order to save himself, he killed a companion as a shield and led the snake group to 3 other people. Recalling this operation, Wang Meng couldn't help but feel proud. What do teammates count? At the critical moment, use it as a scapegoat. They are all dead, only I am still alive. That's what I am. Wang Meng didn't have any psychological burden at all. Being led all the way back to the meeting point by Feng Yuma, he saw the man in sunglasses walking straight towards him. Wang Meng pointed to the wound on his arm and was about to seek treatment. Unexpectedly, the man in sunglasses ignored him and directly grabbed the collar of the big man in black. Feng Yuma, what the hell are you doing? Feng Qing roared in a low voice, I clearly asked you to bring this person back. Feng Yuma was puzzled and said seriously, pay attention to your attitude. I am representing the Fenglong team now and I am back to resume my life. The person has been brought back. You actually want to represent the Wind Dragon team? Feng Qing was shocked and lost his voice. Only you. Are you worthy? Feng Yuma was aroused and swatted his hand away and said, looking for trouble, right? You want to fight, right? Who is looking for trouble and who wants to fight? Feng Qing turned to Wang Meng and said, come on, classmate, please tell me your name and student status number. Wang Meng felt that the situation was not good and couldn't help but take a few steps back. Suddenly his name was called, and he had to step forward and said, my name is Wang Meng, and my student registration number is 204211037. Then, he saw that the big man in black who had led him all the way seemed to be stunned, with sweat visibly rolling down his forehead. Feng Qing sneered, are you dumbfounded? Have you got nothing to say? Before I left, I clearly showed you the information. After all, you can actually get it wrong. Shut up. Who looks for someone to look at their reputation these days? It's all about positioning. After working hard as a nanny for 3 days, she was finally told that she had bailed out the wrong person, and Feng Yuma couldn't accept such a result. He rushed to Wang Meng and shouted, "Who are you? Why are you pretending to be Zhong Yuan?" I didn't." Wang Meng was trembling with fright, and suddenly thought of a possibility. Could it be that the person the big man in black wanted to protect was not him, but the four-eyed man? Many students noticed the dispute and hurriedly reported it to the instructor. Lu Wen hurried over and was dumbfounded when she saw Feng Yuma hooking the wrong person. After all, she is thoughtful. Feng Yuma looked for people according to the position of the watch, and most of them would not find the wrong one. The only possibility was that there was something wrong with the watch. Lu Wen first confirmed Wang Meng's name, and then asked, "Where is your watch?" That among the students corresponding to the 4 watches that lost their signals, there happened to be one named Wang Meng, but Wang Meng had a watch in his hand, so Lu Wen suspected that the watch belonged to Zhong Yuan. Each watch has a serial number and student status. It's not your watch and can be checked immediately. Wang Meng was extremely nervous and pretended to be calm. "My watch accidentally broke. I just picked it up." Lu Wen remained calm and continued, "Where did you pick it up? Can you tell me specifically about the situation at that time?" "Well, you take off the watch and give it to me first, and I'll ask Feng Qing to check the recording in Jinyuan." Feng Qing, huh? Why didn't I know this function existed? At this time, Wang Meng's expression suddenly changed. Does the watch also have a recording function? Doesn't it mean that everything he does will be exposed? No. This watch must be destroyed. He was so worried that he quickly took off his watch and threw it to the ground. Just as he was about to lift his foot to step on it, he found that his body suddenly couldn't move and he couldn't even blink. It is impossible to make small moves in front of a powerful Su Neng. Feng Yuma calmly picked up the watch on the ground and said coldly, "Want to destroy the evidence?" Feng Qing lowered his head and looked at the ground. A hand-shaped shadow stretched out from the shadow under Feng Yuma's feet, grabbing Wang Meng's raised leg. This is Feng Yuma's ability, the control skill ranked 7th on the list, Shadow Servant. Feng Qing felt awe-inspiring in his heart. Lu Wen said seriously, "Wang Meng, please explain your behavior just now." Seeing that he could not destroy the evidence and could not run away, Wang Meng immediately knelt on the ground and cried bitterly. "I didn't want to either. I accidentally broke my watch. At first I just wanted to find someone to team up with and borrow one for use. It's all the fault of that Four Eyes. It was him who led our team into the snake pile and put us in crisis. If I don't save myself, I will die." Feng Yuma. Lu Wen. Feng Qing. Lu Wen just wanted to tell Wang Meng's story, but unexpectedly, he exposed himself. Lu Wen was shocked and said, "Did you kill those 4 students?" Wang Meng tried his best to argue, "I didn't. They were killed by aliens." "Really?" Feng Qing snorted coldly, "Leave the saber to me. If you are innocent, there should be no human blood on the blade." Wang Meng trembled all over. "It's over, I should have thrown away the knife earlier." Feng Qing pushed up his sunglasses and said coldly, "Wang Meng, you deliberately killed your classmates in order to survive. Are you ready to go to a military court? The students in the special class are all reserve military personnel, and military courts are not alarmist." I. Wang Meng was flustered and began to speak incoherently. The fact of killing will never change. He foolishly thought that there was a recording in his watch and that there was irrefutable evidence and that he could not escape. Finally, he knelt on the ground and confessed. When he was taken away, he kept asking if surrendering would reduce his sentence. Of course not. Killing for life is a matter of course. Not only that, family members of the 3rd direct generation are not allowed to become Su Neng or enter the authority department. The matter has come to an end. 2 people did not return to the meeting, Zhong Yuan, Huang Xiaoyan. Later, Lu Wen answered the phone and crossed out Huang Xiaoyan's name. This girl got lucky and was taken away by people from the Academy of Sciences who went to Fangjia for inspection. She will not return to Qingying Academy. In the end, only Zhong Yuan was left who did not come back. It was not necessary to keep so many people waiting. Lu Wen led the large army back to the academy first, leaving only Feng Qing and Feng Yuma to continue to guard Fangjia. They were not worried about Zhong Yuan's safety. After all, it's real. It's him, it's all him. It's too slow. Why haven't you come back yet? Feng Qing stretched his neck and looked at the empty mountain road with resentment on his face. He has never waited so long for someone. Moreover, the person waiting is not a girl, but a boy. Feng Qing said quietly, Brother Feng, I suddenly want to hit someone. Feng Yuma stood side by side with him and said expressionlessly, but I don't want to be beaten. Harm. I didn't say I was going to beat you, Feng Qing said seriously, what I mean is, when that kid comes, who of us will hit him? If we do it together, he will die. Chapter 25 Zhong Yuan's Achilles heel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The battery of the mobile phone had been exhausted long ago, and there was no concept of time in the Fangjia, which caused Zhong Yuan to miss the gathering time completely. He was 7 hours late. During this time, Feng Qing said I must beat him to death. 1,200 times. Feng Yuma was bored and started doing one-handed push-ups. When the two were about to collapse, a figure in camouflage uniforms finally appeared slowly on the mountain road. Feng Qing was shocked, clenched his fists, and his joints creaked. Great. He finally came out. He's here. Don't do push-ups. The last 10. Feng Yuma put a finger on the ground and continued to count with sweat. 991. 992. Feng Qing, when Zhong Yuan walked to the gathering point, he found strangely that there was not a single student. There were only two people, one was the deputy leader, and the other, was doing push-ups. Zhong Yuan said to himself, I am the first one to come back for the gathering. I should have walked around again. Feng Qing was furious when he heard this, the first one. He was obviously the last one. And he was 7 hours late. If it wasn't for getting Zhong Yuan into the student union, Feng Qing wouldn't have waited so long. He carefully observed Zhong Yuan's condition. He looked sick, pale, and listless, but Feng Qing knew that this kid looked like this in normal state. There was a big hole in the camouflage uniform on his shoulder. Was he injured? Feng Qing knew what was going on. He kicked someone who was doing push-ups and said coldly, Zhong Yuan, you're in trouble. On the ground, Feng Yuma jumped up and grinned in cooperation, boy, we meet again. Feng Qing, Brother Feng, your acting is good. You have the talent to win an Oscar. Zhong Yuan's heart sank, and he clenched the spear in his hand. On the surface, he said calmly, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand? Feng Qing said seriously, you still want to pretend. In this case, I will let you die with a clear understanding. You persecuted your classmates and caused 4 people to be attacked and killed by frost snakes. The evidence is irrefutable and your crimes are extremely serious. Even if you go to the military court, you will be shot. After saying this, the murderous aura on his body surged. Zhong Yuan's pupils shrank suddenly, and he felt an unprecedented murderous intent. Not good. They actually want to use lynching and kill. The 4 people were too stupid to withstand the attack of the snake group and died. How can they put this account on his head? There must be other reasons. While his mind was turning rapidly, Feng Yumo's attack had arrived. Boy, die. This time he used the ability of the shadow servant. I saw a pair of black hands stretched out from his shadow and directly pressed down Zhong Yuan's shadow. At this moment, Zhong Yuan was completely unable to move, and could only watch the iron fist hit him. Feng Yumo, don't think that you are the only one with control skills. Bang! The huge force hit Zhong Yuan mercilessly, and the spear slipped out of his hand, and he flew backwards like a rag doll. He flew more than 20 meters away before falling to the ground with a thud. Feng Qing's face changed drastically, staring at Feng Yumo, and growled, hey! You hit too hard. I didn't ask you to kill him. Feng Yumo looked at his fist and said strangely, I didn't use much strength. Feng Qing said angrily, you hit me 20 meters away, and you still say you didn't use any strength? Are you trying to take revenge? That I can't argue, so I won't argue. Feng Yumo admitted that he had the idea of taking revenge. When has he ever suffered such a big loss? Even his father's relics were stolen. In an upright battle, a person like Zhong Yuan can be dealt with one punch. However, the touch of the punch just now was very strange. Feng Yumo couldn't tell what was wrong. I'll go over and see what's going on. Feng Qing said hurriedly. Feng Yuemo stretched out his hand to stop him and said, "Wait, this kid is cunning and can't be taken lightly. Let me go, you just support him from behind. The control range of the shadow servant is 10 meters. Maybe Zhong Yuan deliberately got beaten and got out of control." This courage once again made Feng Yuemo look at him with new eyes. Is he really a freshman? But it's useless. You can keep a distance, but you can't stop me from getting close. Feng Yuemo was about to go forward to investigate when a crisis came. Bang! Gunshots rang out. Feng Yuemo didn't have time to dodge and was hit in the knee by several bullets. However, his skin was instantly covered with copper light, and the bullets couldn't penetrate the epidermis, like encountering a copper wall, and finally fell to the ground. Good shooting. Feng Yuemo's eyes twitched wildly. Even though he was well informed, he did not expect Zhong Yuan to lie on the ground, with one hand hidden under his chest, only the muzzle of the gun exposed, and suddenly fired a cold gun. How to aim in this posture? He can hit the target accurately without seeing it. In addition to the ability to freeze people, does he have another ability similar to aiming? It's amazing. He absorbed 2 abilities from the ruins crystal at such a young age. No wonder even senior military officials pay special attention to him. Feng Yuemo felt a sense of cherishing talent. At the critical moment, he did not forget to cooperate with Feng Qing in the play. He said loudly, "You are not our opponent. Give up resistance and surrender." Zhong Yuan said bitterly, 2 against 1, bullying the weak with the strong. You are really amazing. One of them is a master of the academy, and the other is an outsider. They are colluding with each other, and there must be a conspiracy. Maybe it's because they saw Feng Yuemo secretly entering the Fangjia to hunt the frost snow snake. Maybe they just want to rob the thieves. The reason is not important. Zhong Yuan stood up shakily and touched his chest. The previous blow broke at least 4 ribs, and one of them might have penetrated into his internal organs. Looking at Feng Yuemo again, I thought I could at least cause him some damage, but I didn't expect the bullet to be like a toy, and it couldn't penetrate his skin at all. Zhong Yuan said bitterly, "Monster." Feng Yuemo shook his head and said sincerely, "You can still stand up after being hit by me." "I'm not a monster, you are the monster." He has the strongest defense ability, and is not afraid of bullets at all. He simply walked towards Zhong Yuan openly. The shadow was swaying and extending, and the shape was like a pair of hands, shaking slightly on the ground. Zhong Yuan noticed that Feng Yuemo's shadow was different from that of an ordinary person. Just now, he was caught by a strange shadow and could not move. After flying 10 meters, or maybe 15 meters, he could move again. This shows that shadow manipulation also has a distance limit. Can't let him get close. Zhong Yuan pulled the trigger, and another gunshot rang out, and the bullet hit Feng Yuemo's heel. Feng Yuemo said lightly, "If you can't break my defense, it's useless even if you hit it. Moreover, your freezing range doesn't seem to be as large as I thought. Just surrender, I can give you a quick death." As he said this, he picked up the spear that fell on the ground. It seemed easy, but in fact, the 2 people had been very vigilant to stay away from Zhong Yuan, making sure they were not within the control range of Ning Bing. Zhong Yuan frowned and said coldly, "Don't force me." Seeing this, Feng Qing became even more excited, and shouted in the back, "What if I force you? You have no way out." He finally experienced the role of a villain, and he gave Feng Yuemo a thumbs up in his heart. The actor was awesome, and his performance was very true to himself, forcing Zhong Yuan to fight to the death. It was a good opportunity to see what this guy was really capable of. Feng Qing added fuel to the fire and said, "By the way, I know you have a sister. After you die, I will take good care of her for you." The moment he heard this, Zhong Yuan's expression became more ferocious than ever before. Chapter 26 1v2, Instant Kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No one is born cold. The reason why people are human is that they have feelings and concerns. Zhonglan is Zhong Yuan's Achilles heel, the only reverse scale that he cannot touch. Whoever dares to touch his sister will die. When he fell to the ground, his plain glasses were also broken. Feng Yuemo clearly saw Zhong Yuan's distorted expression, and endless murderous aura bloomed from his lifeless eyes. Feng Qing said too much. It's a beast to mess with someone's sister. Feng Yumo was about to explain, and a trembling force suddenly rose from Zhong Yuan. Ice blood explosion is activated. What kind of ability is this? Feng Yumo's face changed drastically, and he instinctively felt that the threat of death was imminent. This feeling only happened when fighting with the older generation of masters in the family. You wait. Feng Yumo couldn't help but exclaimed, but Zhong Yuan didn't give him a chance at all. The ice blood explosion only lasts for 30 seconds. Wait. What are you waiting for? If you want to mess with my sister, it's either you die or I live. With the blessing of ice blood explosion, all abilities are increased by 1200%. This increase is epic. There are dense prompts in the brain. Your ability super perception has been improved. You have gained a new ability, thermal explosion pressure, disaster level, upgradable. Your ability ice condensation has been improved. You have gained a new ability, eternal ice domain, disaster level, cannot be upgraded. Your ability regeneration has been improved. You have gained a new ability, immortal body, red level, upgradable. Immortal body, you are immune to all damage and negative states. After the super perception was improved, it turned into a new ability called thermal explosion pressure. Is it lethal? There is no time to study. With only 30 seconds, Zhong Yuan decisively launched the eternal ice domain. The terrifying pure white world descended into reality, with Zhong Yuan as the center. Everything within 1,000 meters was instantly frozen. Feng Yumo's face still maintained the expression of speaking, and his body was completely frozen at this time. In less than a second, his blood coagulated, his heart stopped beating, and even his thinking was difficult to maintain. The eternal ice domain is so terrifying. Last time, Feng Yumo was still conscious after being hit by the condensed ice, and Zhong Yuan exhausted all his strength to knock him out. This time it was a real instant kill. Feng Qing, who was standing behind, also did not expect Zhong Yuan to use such a heaven-defying ability. The reason why the disaster level is that once it is launched, it can completely destroy an entire city and cause a fatal blow to humans. If Feng Qing knew it earlier, he would not easily provoke Zhong Yuan's reverse scale. Now, he has also become an ice sculpture, standing still without knowing whether to live or die. Zhong Yuan felt that all the strength in his body was drained by the eternal ice domain. After all, it is only a temporary improvement, not a real ability that belongs to him. If it is maintained for too long, it will bring a great burden to the body. Zhong Yuan realized that within the 30 seconds of the ice blood explosion, the eternal ice domain can only be used once at most. When the effect of the ice blood explosion disappears, the power of the eternal ice domain will also disappear. There are about 10 seconds left, which is enough. When he thought of these two beasts going to attack his sister, Zhong Yuan's eyes flashed coldly and he raised his pistol with all his strength. Kill Feng Yumo first. I don't believe that this guy can still block bullets after being frozen into an ice sculpture. Click. The pistol spun in vain, no bullets. Zhong Yuan's expression changed drastically. At this time, a touch of emerald green light appeared on Feng Qing's body. His frozen limbs recovered a little strength, and his eyes moved with difficulty. Feng Qing was horrified to see that the surroundings had turned into a world of ice and snow. And Zhong Yuan's gun was aimed at Feng Yumo, who had turned into an ice sculpture. Not good. Feng Yumo was going to be killed by him. Feng Qing was horrified and activated his ability immediately without even thinking. Rejuvenation. Remove all abnormal states. Back to the sun. Return the target to the state 24 hours ago. Life sharing. Connect the target and share the vitality equally. 3 top medical auxiliary abilities were thrown at Feng Yumo, trying to stabilize his life. The desperate efforts were not in vain. Feng Yumo staggered, and his frozen body regained vitality, thanks to his strong strength. His defense ability protected his brain from complete death after being completely frozen for a short period of time, so Feng Qing pulled him back from the brink of death. If it were an ordinary Suning person, he would definitely not be able to come back. Wait, what happened? Feng Yumo's mind was still before being frozen. Feng Qing's face was pale, and he felt that more than half of his vitality had been removed. Too scary. Too scary. Feng Yumo should have died just now. But I saved him. Hee hee. I'm so strong. Feng Qing raised his head proudly, panting. Between heaven and earth, sad snowflakes fell, landing on his head, like the last straw that broke the camel's back. He fell to the ground with a plop and lost consciousness. In order to save Feng Yuma, Feng Qing used 3 abilities at all costs, and lost half of his life, falling into a near-death state. The power of the eternal ice domain was fading, and the surrounding temperature was rising. Even so, the ambient temperature was still around -60 degrees. Feng Yuma's body was cracked by frost in many places, and blood was flowing. His whole body looked like a bloody man, which was very scary. Holding the spear, he straightened his back and said to Zhong Yuan while trembling, "I don't believe you can use such a powerful ability again. You lose." Zhong Yuan smiled sadly and threw away the pistol. "Looks like my luck has really run out. If you have the ability, kill me, otherwise I won't let you go even if I die. That the time for the ice blood explosion has come, and the period of weakness is coming." Coupled with the fatigue accumulated before, Zhong Yuan's eyes began to turn black, his eyes lost focus, and his consciousness was like a snowflake TV that had lost its signal, constantly rustling. The moment he was about to fall, he suddenly felt as if he was being supported by someone. Feng Yuma carried a spear on his back, grabbed one of Zhong Yuan's arms, wrapped it around his neck, and carried him away. Then he came to Feng Qing, picked up one of the guy's legs, and dragged him away backwards. "Ahem. You can survive if you do evil by God, but you can't live if you do it on your own. Feng Qing, you idiot. I will cooperate with you next time. I am also an idiot." In the end, the second young master of the Feng family shouldered everything, dragging the 2 of them one by one, and limping out of the square realm with their seriously injured bodies. After this battle, a new name appeared on the list of capable young people in Wagwaksu, the 68th one, Xian Ming. Chapter 27 Warm Invitation and Conditions of Understanding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He has been out of breath for 2 days. Holding on is not an option. It's better to call 120 and take him to the hospital. Who are you looking down on? If you can't save me, you'll just go straight to the morgue if you send him to the hospital, okay? I guess his killer move took a lot of power, and he will fall into a state of suspended animation afterwards. Will fake death cause body spots? Where? Let me treat it. A few seconds later. Okay, it's all gone. That's definitely not a corpse spot, it's a black and green mass. In a villa on the outskirts of Shandong City, Feng Yuma and Feng Qing were discussing something around the person lying on the bed. 2 days have passed since the Fangjie War. Even Feng Qing has returned to normal, but Zhong Yuan still hasn't woken up. To be precise, when Feng Yuma came out of Fangjie, he found that he had expired, but Feng Qing insisted that he was faking his death, so we had to move him back to his residence in Upper East City. In fact, Feng Yuma had no problem handing over the dead Zhong Yuan. When Wan Xianglong gave him the task, he did not stipulate that he must fish out Fangjie alive. I told you, he is faking death and will wake up after a while. Feng Qing finally became impatient and said angrily, "Living and dying, how can I not know?" Okay, you, the authority of the healing department. Feng Yuma said angrily, "When he wakes up, you go and tell him that they gave him a false name on the list." I didn't come up with it. Feng Qing retorted, "The fake name is for his own good, so as not to be challenged all day long. Then you don't have to give him a middle school name. You have nothing to do with it. I asked you if you were okay, and you said it was great. Swish, swish, swish. Swish, swish, swish." There were constant voices of quarrels flooding into my consciousness. Zhong Yuan felt that his head was going to be cracked by their noise, and couldn't help shouting, "Shut up!" The noisy noise suddenly stopped. Great, go back to sleep. A few seconds later, no, I obviously don't need to sleep anymore. The moment the ice-blooded weakness reached 0, Zhong Yuan opened his eyes on time. The first thing you see is a luxurious crystal chandelier installed on the ceiling. A triumphant voice came from beside him. Did you see it? I said he's not dead. He's awake. Hurry up and get some money. TSK. Zhong Yuan turned to look. Feng Yuma was seen taking out 3 large bills from his wallet and handing them to the man in sunglasses. Seeing him wake up, he actually smiled kindly. When did I turn my hostility into friendship with you? Zhong Yuan frowned deeply and looked at the surrounding environment, not a hospital, but a luxuriously decorated bedroom. The style is very unisex. It should be used exclusively for guests. Zhong Yuan calmly judged the current situation. At the same time, he secretly turned on his super perception ability. The situation within 1 kilometer is immediately clear to the mind. Pearl Villa. Zhong Yuan knows this place. He used to work part-time as a tutor and had a student who lived in this community. The residents are either rich or noble, and most of them are business elites. There didn't seem to be any other helpers lying in wait, nor were they tied up. No, it's definitely not that simple. There are traps. To be on the safe side, Zhong Yuan continued to lie down and said indifferently, "What do you want me to do next? Put me in a laboratory for dissection or send me to a dark room for torture." Quiet. After a few seconds, Feng Yuma asked Feng Qing tentatively, "Dr. Feng, can you judge whether his brain was damaged?" "I think he's not out of his mind. At most he's a little angry when he wakes up." Feng Qing rushed to Zhong Yuan with a smile and said enthusiastically, "Hello, classmate Zhong Yuan, I am Feng Qing, a third-year student in the special class of Chengying College, and also the president of the student union. Don't take what happened before seriously. Actually, everything has been found out. The man who murdered the 4 students is named Wang Meng. He has been sent to the detention center and is waiting to be shot. I provoked you to fight before to confirm your strength. You are strong. Very strong. You almost killed me in Feng Yuma. On behalf of the student union, I wholeheartedly invite you to join." Feng Yuma covered his face and took 2 steps back, with an expression like "I don't know you and I have nothing to do with you." Zhong Yuan was stunned when he heard this. "What do you mean?" After being beaten to death, he suddenly said, "I just want to see your strength. Don't worry about the previous grudges. Who can bear it?" His eyes were straight. Feng Qing said hurriedly, "Don't be angry. Didn't Feng Yuma and I almost get killed by you? You don't know how embarrassed we were at that time. By the way, this is called no acquaintance without fighting." Zhong Yuan said in a daze, "Go to hell with you. I don't care if you don't fight or get to know each other." Feng Qing's face turned dark and he felt anxious. What to do? His attitude was very repulsive and there was no way to gain understanding. The worst-case scenario is that when he goes out and turns right, he immediately takes his sister with him to transfer to another school. It will be completely over by then. Brother Feng, please say a few words." Feng Qing mouthed and cast a look at Feng Yuma asking for help. Feng Yuma felt that he was very unlucky. Originally, he was robbed by Zhong Yuan, and he was the victim. The result? Feng Qing wanted to die and was so excited that Zhong Yuan completely misunderstood them and used his ultimate killing move. As a result, he was not only killed and seriously injured by Zhong Yuan, but he also became Feng Qing's accomplice. Just like the villain, if there is a misunderstanding, it should be resolved as soon as possible. The longer it takes, the deeper the resentment becomes, and it will be difficult to deal with it. Feng Yuma sighed and said seriously, "Zhong Yuan, Feng Qing and I did something wrong in what happened before. I solemnly apologize to you." He considered it for a moment and said, "It is inappropriate for you to hide your identity as a master from the academy. Chengying Academy was founded by Mr. Qing Yunxiao. There are crouching tigers and hidden dragons inside. There are some things that you cannot hide. It's better to do it as soon as possible. Show your talent, let the college realize your value, and vigorously cultivate it. The student union has privileges, and there are no downsides to joining, only benefits." Although Feng Qing does things in a haphazard manner, at critical moments, he understands the general situation and is a reliable person. For example, without him, I would be dead. You robbed me once and killed me again. I suffered great losses at your hands twice. As a man, I don't care. I am willing to laugh away our grudges with you. Don't you always want to hold a grudge in your heart? His attitude is extremely sincere, and he has already regarded Zhong Yuan as an equal, or even higher. Feng Qing said hurriedly, "Yes, Brother Feng means what I mean." He really didn't dare to say any more. for fear of saying the wrong thing and arousing Zhong Yuan's rebellious mood. After all, 16-year-olds are the most difficult to deal with. However, within the young body is a mature soul that has experienced death. Feng Yuma was right, joining the student union will certainly bring you various privileges and many benefits. There is no need to keep holding on to their faults. Zhong Yuan thought for a moment, sat up halfway, and said, I can forgive you. But, you must each agree to a condition. Chapter 28, Shaking Hands and Making Peace, Cherishing Each Other. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feng Yumo agreed readily. As long as I can do it and it doesn't violate the principles, I can agree to it. Feng Qing was eager for Zhong Yuan to make all kinds of conditions. Anyway, he has the college as his backer and the student union has strong capital. The more Zhong Yuan asks, the more beneficial it will be to the college. Zhong Yuan thought about it and said to Feng Qing, I want a single dormitory. What? That's it? You look down on me, right? Feng Qing thought he was going to make some requests and was ready to bleed heavily. Unexpectedly, Zhong Yuan's request was so simple. Feng Qing asked strangely, where do you live now? Zhong Yuan said honestly, an ordinary 4-person dormitory. It doesn't matter whether it is facing north or south or on a floor. Just change it to a single room, so that roommates won't find out that I don't eat, go to the toilet, or sleep. No. Am I being unreasonable? Then. I'll change the conditions. Seeing Feng Qing silent, Zhong Yuan thought he was embarrassed and was a little disappointed. Feng Yumo's mouth twitched, and he said in surprise, is Qingying College so arrogant? A genius like him was actually arranged to live in an ordinary 4-person room? Is this what a human would do? I don't know about the dormitory. Feng Qing was full of black lines on his head, and hurriedly said, that was arranged by the Academic Affairs Office. When he enrolled, he filled in the student status as an ordinary student. Feng Yumo shook his head repeatedly and sighed, what do ordinary students do in Fangjie? They are sloppy and irresponsible. No wonder the people trained by Qingying College are getting worse and worse. Hey. You can insult me, but why do you insult the college? Feng Yumo didn't want to pay attention to him at all. Since Zhong Yuan had no place to live, he just did a favor. Feng Yumo said, after all, it's inconvenient to live in the school. If you don't mind, this house is for you to live in. I just bought it the day before yesterday. I haven't had time to transfer it yet. Just write your name. Zhong Yuan. I even have to struggle for a long time before placing an order for a mobile phone, but you can buy a villa and give it away as soon as you say it. Brother, who are you? Zhong Yuan stared at Feng Yumo. Feng Qing felt bad when he heard it. The second young master Feng was arrogant and his family had plenty of money. Money was just a bunch of numbers to him, but not to Zhong Yuan. According to the information, Zhong Yuan's family conditions were very ordinary. When he was in junior high school, he would help his sister's classmates write homework for winter and summer vacations to earn pocket money. In 2 days, Feng Qing even investigated Zhong Lan's elementary school classmates. Feng Yumo was obviously showing off his wealth, which would easily make people hate him. Feng Qing hurriedly said, Zhong Yuan, Feng Yumo is actually an unemployed vagrant. Feng Yumo. Feng Qing rolled his eyes and continued to make up stories. You know what a gigolo is? He's the kind of parasite who specializes in deceiving rich women and doesn't want to work hard to be supported. Zhong Yuan whispered, I don't think he's white-faced either. Feng Qing said, but he's tough enough. You fought him before, you know. Rich women like this. As for the villa, well, it was actually given to Feng Yumo by a rich woman he met when he was working in a club a while ago. The rich woman was over 70 years old and never married. Because she was terminally ill, she wanted to experience what it was like to have a husband before she died. Feng Yumo took care of her until she died, and in the end, the rich woman left the house to him. Good guy. Hanging out with a rich woman was turned into a tear-jerking story of an old young love affair, Zhong Yuan whispered, but he just said that the house was bought. That was because he was trying to save face and lied to you. Young man, be more careful and don't just believe what you hear. Feng Qing said earnestly, Feng Yumo has already moved to Bengbu. What to do? I really want to beat this guy to death. Zhong Yuan thought for a while, and asked seriously, is it really that good to be with a rich woman? Will a rich woman like me be interested in someone like me? Feng Yumo was speechless for a moment. I'm dying. Feng Qing, look at what you have done. You have led a good seedling astray. You are guilty of a great crime. Feng Yumo was so anxious that he didn't know what to say. At this time, Feng Qing pretended to be deep and said, there is gain and loss. Although Brother Feng got money, he also lost his worries. Alas, you are still too young, and people only treat you as a son. In a few years, you can learn from Feng Yumo again. Stop, this topic must end. Feng Yumo coughed and said, anyway, I will leave Shandong City soon. This house is empty anyway. Take the key and live here if you want. Zhong Yuan was stunned and said, you want to leave? Feng Qing interrupted, his hometown is in Guanyuan City. This time, he made a fortune in Shimen Mountain. He has to go home quickly to avoid being robbed. Feng Yumo's mouth twitched and said, don't worry, I will do what you ask before you leave. Tell me, what do you want me to do? Zhong Yuan said modestly, actually, I want you to teach me how to use a knife. Feng Qing, no way. The college has a cold weapon course. At least I can teach you. And Feng Yumo remembered that in Fangjia, Zhong Yuan once humbly asked him how to use a knife. It's so strange, you can kill me in seconds with your ability, but you ask me instead? How humble. Feng Yumo felt a little more sympathetic towards Zhong Yuan, and hesitated, are you sure you want me to teach you how to use a knife? I'm not good at knife skills. Zhong Yuan said, it doesn't matter. I will learn whatever you teach me. Is that so? Feng Yumo fell into deep thought. Since humans have mastered the power of Su, some fighting techniques and ancient martial arts schools have been revived. Take the Su practitioners in China, for example. After obtaining the power of Su, the ancient martial arts schools' abilities are unimaginable. Later, large families would let their children practice martial arts from an early age. Unfortunately, Zhong Yuan is a little old, and his physical foundation does not look very good, but it is not without advantages. Zero foundation means that some bad habits have not been formed yet. If you start from scratch and study hard, you can also make achievements. Feng Yumo thought for a moment and said, okay, I will teach you. How far you can practice depends on your own talent. Feng Qing looked at Zhong Yuan's thin arms and legs, and then looked at the tendons and muscles on Feng Yumo's arms. He clapped his hands and said vigorously, special training, right? Count me in. If you have any injuries, I will be by your side and can heal you in a moment. Feng Yumo nodded without denying, so the matter was settled. The handshake was successful. In the end, Zhong Yuan decided to live in the school. On the one hand, Feng Yumo's villa was too far from the college, making it inconvenient for him to go to school. Another reason was that he didn't want to owe too many favors to others. Feng Qing, the student union president, was really powerful enough to actually build a separate dormitory for Zhong Yuan in the college. It was originally a warehouse for training equipment, and the location was relatively remote. More than 10 years ago, 3 students committed suicide in it, and it was abandoned. Zhong Yuan said he didn't mind that someone had died in it, so Feng Qing asked someone to clean up the warehouse. It only took an afternoon to transform it into a dormitory, and let Zhong Yuan move in. Chapter 29 Miracle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The new dormitory is very large. There are 3 floors and more than 2,000 square meters. It is simply too spacious for one person to live in. The ground floor was set up as a training ground, with a large number of training equipment placed nearby. In addition to the bedrooms, the second floor also has a reception room, a study room, and an audio-visual lounge. The third floor is a conference room that can accommodate 20 people for meetings. The dormitory is fully equipped with all kinds of electrical appliances and furniture. Although the decoration is simple and not as luxurious as Feng Yumo's villa, it is absolutely comfortable to live in. the only drawback is that there is no toilet in the dormitory, only a simple shower room. Feng Qing said to Zhong Yuan apologetically, you can make do with it for now. We need to hire an engineering team to lay the sewage pipes for the toilet. However, Zhong Yuan felt that this dormitory was already very good, and it didn't matter if it didn't have a toilet. He didn't need it anyway, Feng Yuma said, I'll stay here for the next few days so that I can give you special training. After Feng Jie's military training, he had a week's vacation to recuperate. In fact, this period of time is specially reserved for freshmen to absorb the Su crystal. Feng Qing patiently explained for Zhong Yuan, many people don't want their absorption of Su crystal to be known to others, nor do they want their abilities to be exposed. After all, it is a very personal matter. Once some abilities are exposed, their lethality will be greatly reduced. Most of them will take advantage of the holidays to privately ask Director Lu to help activate their abilities. She can activate her abilities up to 6 times a day, so she will have a 7-day holiday after completing the activation. By the way, do you need to activate your abilities? I can help you contact her. Zhong Yuan shook his head, no need. Feng Qing said with a smile, that's right. With your strength, you should look down on Frost Snow Snake's Ruin Crystal. Among its abilities, only Death Saving Throw is worth looking at. Zhong Yuan asked doubtfully, is the Frost Snow Snake's Ruins Crystal weak? Feng Qing said, it's not too strong. Ning Bing can control the field, but its shortcomings are also obvious. The time is short and the distance is short. Not to mention super perception, which randomly increases perception. Many people have improved taste and smell. Eventually I became a sommelier, chef or something. There is also a regeneration, which is basically impossible to absorb. Only the death saving throw has the greatest value, and the probability is lower than buying a lottery ticket. If you are aiming for a higher goal, finally consider trying your luck with the Frost Snow Snake Ruins Crystal. Zhong Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, in other words, ordinary Su Ning users cannot upgrade after absorbing abilities. On the side, Feng Yuma was lost in thought. Zhong Yuan's ability is very similar to Frost Snow Snake, but it is much more powerful than Frost Snow Snake's ability. What's going on? Forget it, who doesn't have some secrets? Feng Yuma no longer explored so much, but asked, Zhong Yuan, you should have found a lot of Su crystals in the Fang realm this time, right? Can you sell some to me? I'll buy them at a high price. Zhong Yuan said, sorry, I've used them all. Used it? No way. Feng Qing lost his voice and said, you stubborn child, have you absorbed the death immunity? Zhong Yuan shook his head silently, the heart is separated from the belly, he would not tell the secret to these two people. Feng Qing patted Zhong Yuan's shoulder heavily, okay, don't be depressed. The success rate of death saving throw is less than 0.0003%. Unless a miracle happens, it is impossible. He didn't notice that Feng Yuma's expression was extremely ugly. Is it a miracle? The third day of vacation, Zhong Lan was called to Lu Wen's office. There is a black velvet box on the table. The blood-red Su Jing lay quietly in the box, like a red gemstone, radiant and full of coveted power. This ruined crystal was taken from a foreign race called Fire Cloud Bee. What is even more rare is that it is the Queen Bee Su crystal. Many years ago, Lin Dongliang personally hunted it and collected it to this day. At this time, he stood on the edge, even more nervous than when he first absorbed Su Jing, and kept comforting the little girl. Zhong Lan, don't be nervous. It doesn't matter even if you fail. You will basically fail the first time. Lu Wen didn't see anything special about this child, but her brother Zhong Yuan is amazing. He stayed alone in Fangjie for 3 days and was finally fished out by Feng Qing and Feng Yuma. It is said that Zhong Yuan was already in critical condition when he left the outer world. After 2 days of treatment, he was finally out of danger. Lu Wen received a call from Feng Qing reporting that she was safe and immediately informed Lin Dongliang. However, this guy actually ran over to find Zhong Lan right away. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't I go see my brother first? Lu Wen felt that Lin Dongliang was a little unkind. However, when she saw Queen Bee Shujing, she realized that Lin Dongliang valued Zhong Lan far more than she imagined. Lu Wen whispered softly, "Zhong Lan, don't think wildly, and don't be afraid of failure. It's best to set a small goal in your heart. This is easier and has a higher success rate. You hold the Su crystal in your hand now." "Yes." Zhong Lan nodded stiffly, her little hands trembling slightly as she picked up the precious ruins crystal. "As soon as I took the thing into my hands, I immediately felt a warm feeling, as if something was surging." Zhong Lan tensed up nervously. Lu Wen sighed secretly. Young children have less distracting thoughts and can easily absorb the ability of Su crystal. However, placing so much hope on the child also increases the psychological burden on the child. She has seen too many students who failed to absorb Su Jing for the first time because of too much pressure. "I hope this precious Su crystal will not be wasted," Lu Wen thought secretly and activated her ability. At this moment, the Su crystal in Zhonglan's hand seemed to be activated, and it could not wait to rush into her petite body. Lu Wen activated the ability, which was equivalent to turning on the accelerator. If you can, you can, and if you can't, you can't, and the answer will be revealed in an instant. 2 seconds passed. Zhonglan's expression was confused. Nothing happened. Lin Dongliang's heart gradually sank to the bottom of the valley. Did it fail? However, the red light in Zhonglan's hand has not been completely extinguished, the Su crystal has not been completely exhausted. Lin Dongliang couldn't help but say, "Zhonglan, think about your brother. He must also hope that you can become a powerful Su energy user." Lu Wen's face changed slightly, and she said seriously, "Major Lin. She is absorbing the Su crystal, please don't say anything extra. Otherwise, there will be some changes, I dare not guarantee it. Some Su crystals may affect the human spirit when they are absorbed. It is a taboo to interfere with the side." Zhong Lan tightly grasped the crystal and could feel it shrinking rapidly. It was only the size of a thumb left, and she felt nothing. Has the initiation started? Or has it ended? After entering Chengying College for several days, Lin Dongliang's white lie had long been exposed. Zhong Lan already knew what this school was all about. She had a very good talent and was given high hopes. If she failed, she would not be able to live in such a good dormitory and eat delicious meals. She and her brother would be persuaded to drop out of school. Can't fail. Must absorb the ability. Zhong Lan's face flushed red, and she mustered all her strength to try her best to absorb the last remaining crystal. Lu Wen showed pity. The initiation has ended. When there is auxiliary blessing, it is impossible to absorb the ability, let alone without assistance. Lu Wen looked at Lin Dongliang and was shocked to find that he was staring at Zhong Lan with a serious face, with no intention of giving up. Too many children have been left with serious psychological trauma because of their first failure, and they can no longer absorb the abilities of the ruined crystal. Lu Wen was extremely angry and shouted, "Major! What do you mean?" Lin Dongliang said hoarsely, "Wait a little longer. I believe her. Wait for nothing. You soldiers only know how to force things." Lu Wen was so excited that she cursed and held Zhong Lan's hands, trying to pry open her clenched fists. "It's over, Zhong Lan, you don't have to continue." Zhong Lan's eyes were straight, and she screamed with tears, "It's not over yet. I haven't. Brother. Woo brother. I'm sorry." The ruined crystal in his hand was only as big as a grain of rice. Just when Zhong Lan was desperate, a prompt suddenly appeared in his mind. If you find the ruined crystal of the fire cloud Queen Bee, do you consume 20 years of your life to absorb it? Chapter 30 Zhong Yuan's True Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hoo ho. Hoo ho ho. Two young men in training uniforms fell on the floor of the training ground, panting. "Brother Feng, I can't do it anymore. I'm exhausted and paralyzed. I need to slow down." "Then, take a 10-minute break." Zhong Yuan stood on the edge without sweating, and said with a look of disdain, "Is this going to stop? Is this going to slow down? You have already rested twice." "Grass is a plant," Feng Qing yelled with all his strength. "Who said I can't do it? If you're a man, you can't say no." Sigh. "I'm hungry. I'm going to have some supper." He struggled to climb towards the second floor, but unfortunately he fell down before reaching the stairs. Shame. Feng Yuma spat, if you don't have the energy to climb, wouldn't it be better to lie down like this? At 3 o'clock in the morning, the training ground in the warehouse dormitory was brightly lit. After training intensively for a whole day, Zhong Yuan felt that he had made great progress. He wanted to practice again, but unfortunately the two coaches did not allow him to continue. Seeing them paralyzed on the ground, not even wanting to move, Zhong Yuan had no choice but to go to the second floor to get a cold beer and come down. Give, 0.1 can per person. Wait a minute, you're not underage yet, so you can't drink. Feng Qing snatched Zhong Yuan's beer away with his hands. I saw this guy holding a can in his left hand and a can in his right hand, touching his face, and he instantly moaned in comfort. It's alive. It's alive. Zhong Yuan didn't want to drink at first, so he nodded and said, okay, after drinking, let's continue. Feng Qing actually shuddered and cried out, are you a devil? You won't give me 10 minutes. Zhong Yuan frowned and said, what? Is there a problem? Of course there is a problem. Don't you see that Brother Feng and I are exhausted? Feng Qing looked at Zhong Yuan like a monster. Something's wrong. After being beaten down thousands of times at least, Zhong Yuan was the most exhausted among the three. Okay? Brother Feng, please say something. Feng Yuma opened the can with trembling hands and said dully, as a man, you can't say no. Anyway, you have a life to share. Damn it. Feng Qing trembled and said, no, I didn't. You do, don't be modest. Feng Yuma took a sip of beer and gritted his teeth. I promised to let him practice a certain weapon, and I must do it. There was a pile of cold weapons spread out on the ground, swords, guns, clubs. Zhong Yuan has tried everything. Finally, Feng Yuma came to a conclusion. Zhong Yuan has no talent for using cold weapons. Logically speaking, Su Ning's cultivation understanding is quite good. You can get started in an ordinary day, and you can be decent in as little as 10 minutes, however. Zhong Yuan practiced all day long, but he was still awry. His physical coordination is not very good, and no matter what weapon he uses, he is missing a bit of soul. Even if you master it, it will only be in vain and you will be vulnerable to masters. Feng Yuma has been practicing martial arts since he was a child, and he has one of the best vision among the young generation. Seeing Zhong Yuan training tirelessly over and over again, he really couldn't bear to tell the truth. God rewards hard work, as long as hard work is rewarded. How strange. If you don't have talent, you don't have talent. 1 year of hard work is not as good as 1 week of training. Reality is so cruel. Feng Yuma slowly drank the beer and began to think about how to say it without hurting Zhong Yuan's self-esteem. Feng Qing had finished one bottle and started the second one. The empty bottle was thrown on the ground. He was too lazy to run to the trash can and throw it away, so Zhong Yuan flattened the can, picked it up, and tossed it into a trash can more than 10 meters away. Bang! The flat can drew a parabola in the air and fell accurately into the trash can. Feng Qing realized it later and didn't notice. However, Feng Yuma felt like he had discovered a new world. His eyes were shining brightly. He thought of Zhong Yuan's ridiculously accurate marksmanship. Nowadays, if you just throw the cans away, they end up in the trash can. Is it a coincidence? Feng Yuma quickly drank up his can of beer, flattened the can and tossed it gently. Bang! Just a little short of it, the can hit the edge of the trash can and finally fell to the ground. When Feng Qing saw this, he couldn't help but sarcastically said, Brother Feng, you are too inferior. You can't even hit it from such a close distance. Feng Yuma fell silent. Of course he could hit it if he aimed well, but Zhong Yuan didn't even aim. He was just as relaxed and free-spirited as if he was on autopilot. Zhong Yuan, I finally know what type of weapon you are suitable for practicing. Feng Yuma became excited and said firmly, hidden weapon. For example, is Xiao Li's flying knife of no use? Zhong Yuan beeped softly, but I think the 40-meter sword is more powerful. Come on. Do it again. Feng Yuma didn't care about his feelings at all, rushed to the trash can, took back the 2 cans and handed them to Zhong Yuan. Try it, throw both together. Before he finished speaking, Zhong Yuan took action immediately. 2 perfectly parallel parabolas shine in the bright light. Bang! There is only one sound when it falls into the trash can. What coordination and precision this is. This step can only be achieved if the timing of exerting force with both hands is exactly the same. However, when training other weapons, such coordination is a fatal flaw. Not bad. Feng Qing blinked, suddenly feeling that Zhong Yuan's move was a bit cool. He was eager to try, so he quickly drank the beer in his hand and threw it into the trash can. The jar landed 3 meters away, worse than Feng Yuan. Wait a minute, it doesn't count just now, I'll do it again. Feng Qing reluctantly picked up the jar, returned to where he was, and shouted, throw the world away. Bang. It failed and fell to the ground less than 3 meters away. No, come again. Bang. 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 Feng Yuan pointed at this guy and said to Zhong Yuan, see? That's what it means to have no talent. The way you look at training with a sword is just like Feng Qing now. Zhong Yuan frowned and said, what do you want to say? Feng Yuan said seriously, I can't teach you hidden weapons. I know nothing about this. Since you have such a talent, don't waste it. I can find a famous teacher to teach you. Zhong Yuan was still a little unwilling and said, but. Feng Yuan sighed, I know what you are thinking. If it doesn't work, you can find an ability similar to martial arts to absorb. Zhong Yuan's eyes lit up and he asked, do you have such ability? Yes. Unfortunately, most of them are basic skills with very low levels, Feng Yuan said eloquently, for example, the scissor hands of the big sword mantis, and the brutal fist of the green demon ape. Wearing sunglasses seriously affected his accuracy. Feng Qing finally gave up trying to put the can into the bucket. He walked to the trash can, threw the can away, and said faintly, Brother Feng, you forgot that there is a kind of alien Su Jing that has good fighting ability. Feng Yuan was startled for a moment, suddenly remembered, and said in unison with Feng Qing, Ghost Trench Badger. Zhong Yuan, what the hell?